So today's topic is westward expansion. And the question that you should be able to answer by the end of this video is, what were the positive and negative effects of westward expansion? A major cause of westward expansion was an idea called manifest destiny. This is the belief that it was America's God-given destiny to get bigger and spread westward until we hit the Pacific Ocean. Now, why should America get bigger? Well, at this time, other places in the world had kings and queens. They had absolute monarchs. America was unique. Citizens got to vote for their representatives and their leaders. Now, at this time, it was only white land-owning men over the age of 21, but this still was unique and better than most places in the world. So that's why we needed to get larger so that more people could come here and enjoy this unique government that was American Republic. Now, before we could move westward, we've got to gain control of the land. Spain, France, Britain, all controlled different parts of what is today the United States. So the first real estate deal we make is in 1803. Thomas Jefferson is president, and he buys a huge chunk of land from the French. For $15 million, we doubled the size of the country. Not only did we double the size, we also got control over a very important natural resource, the Mississippi River. Okay, that is the longest river in the country, and that allowed farmers to send their produce down to New Orleans, down at the bottom of the river, and ship it out all over the world. So that was a big start to our being able to move out westward. Then in 1848, gold and silver were discovered out west in Nevada and California, and thousands of men headed out there to get rich quick. Unfortunately, only the few that got there first made any money. Most people did not do so well during the California gold rush. But again, now we've got people heading out west. The Oregon Trail is how most people traveled. It was a 2,000-mile wagon route that over 350,000 Americans traveled along this route to go out west, where there was cheap land and opportunity for a new and prosperous life. Then in the 1860s, the Transcontinental Railroad was built. This was finished in 1869 and saved Americans an amazing amount of time. All right, taking the Oregon Trail meant 4 to 5 months of very difficult travel that you may or may not survive. Now, the Transcontinental Railroad was built by two different railroad companies. One started in the west, one started in the east, and they started laying railroad track until they met in Utah in 1869, and the Transcontinental Railroad was born. Once this was up and running, it took 3.5 days to get from New York to California instead of 5 months. Game changer as far as people moving out west, as well as trade could now happen on a much larger scale. Then the Homestead Act. The government, the American government, wanted people to settle out west. They wanted a lot of farms to control the land, and as a result, they offered free land, 160 acres of land. If you were willing to stay there for 5 years and build a house and settle there, the government would give you this land for free. and it was known as the Homestead Act. Thousands and thousands of people lined up to take advantage of this opportunity. All right, some of the effects of people moving and settling out west. One of the huge issues, which will basically be the cause of the Civil War, is the effect on slavery. From the very first colony, Jamestown, back in 1607, slaves were imported from Africa, mostly in the South, in order to work on the plantations. So now the question comes up, as more and more states join the Union, are they going to be slave states or are they going to be free states? In the early 1800s, most states in the North made slavery illegal. Okay, they didn't need slavery, they were more industrial. And the South, though, their economy demanded slavery, could not survive without it. So there had been an equal balance of power. We had the same number of states that were free states as well as slave states. So things were working out. Now you have a new state coming in. If it wants to be a slave state, then the slave states are going to have more power in government. And the North is not good with this. Well, if it's a free state, well, then the South is going to be upset. This was a major problem. And as different states came in, they tried different compromises that you will learn about to try to work out this issue, but eventually there'll be a bloody civil war over this issue. Another group that was affected by westward expansion were the Native Americans. They had lived all over the United States, and as we moved out westward, we took over lands that they had been occupying, and we pushed them further and further out west, finally pushed them into little areas known as reservations. So Native Americans were adversely affected by westward expansion. The buffalo. There had been millions of buffalo roaming the country. When the Transcontinental Railroad was built, hunters wiped out almost the entire population. Not only did this make a particular animal nearly extinct, the buffalo were the lifeblood of the Native Americans. They used the buffalo, every part of the buffalo, for food, for clothing, the horns. It was an integral part of their life, and taking that away was devastating to the Native American population. Okay, so this is how, step by step and rather quickly, we started on the East Coast, and with the purchase of the Louisiana Purchase from the French, we doubled the size of the country, and we just kept moving until we got some land through agreements, we bought land, we got some land through fighting. There was the Mexican War where we had a fight over the boundaries of Texas, but eventually we reached the Pacific Ocean, and today America is from sea to shining sea. The Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Then we'll get Hawaii, we'll get Alaska from Russia, and those are the last two states. All right, so can you answer the question asked in the beginning? What were the positive and negative effects of westward expansion? So if you jotted down a few notes, you say positive, we gained control of the Mississippi River, we expanded the country from the Atlantic all the way to the Pacific Ocean, we connected the nation with the Transcontinental Railroad, we found new natural resources like gold and silver, and there was lots of new opportunity for Americans to own land who might not be able to afford it otherwise. A lot of positive things happened by our country growing and getting bigger. But there were also negative consequences. It desecrated the buffalo population. It increased conflicts with the Native Americans and pushed them into small reservations. It also increased tensions between the northern states and the southern states on the slavery issue, which will lead to the Civil War. So all of these things happened as a result of westward expansion. All right, hopefully you got some of these. Now, the name of this channel is History and a Riddle. So now it's time for your riddle. Did you hear about the kidnapping at school? It was fine. He woke up. Get it? The kid napping at school. Okay, I like it. All right. So thank you for listening to this channel, and I hope you check out some of my other videos.